Street kid sings Perfect, judges give standing ovation instantly. It was a rainy afternoon in New York City, the kind where the streets glistened like glass and the air carried the smell of wet pavement. Inside the bustling subway station, commuters hurried past, umbrellas dripping, shoes splashing in shallow puddles. Among the noise and chatter, a faint melody floated in the air, soft, raw, and heartbreakingly beautiful. 14-year-old Liam stood in the corner, clutching a battered old guitar that looked almost too big for him. His clothes were worn, his sneakers scuffed, and a small paper cup sat at his feet with only a few coins rattling inside. For months, he'd been singing here, not because he loved the audience, most barely noticed him, but because every dollar meant a little more food for his little sister, Ellie. Since their mother passed and their father disappeared, the streets had become their home. Today, though, Liam sang differently. His voice, trembling at first, gained strength as he strummed the opening chords of Ed Sheeran's Perfect. The sound cut through the chaos of the station like sunlight piercing clouds. A small crowd formed, drawn in by something they couldn't quite explain. Maybe it was the innocence in his tone, maybe the pain hiding behind the lyrics. One woman even stopped in her tracks, tears welling in her eyes, before dropping a 20 in his cup. A tall man in a dark coat lingered at the edge of the crowd. He didn't blend in like the others, he had the sharp posture and polished shoes of someone who didn't usually ride the subway. He listened intently, phone in hand, recording every note. By the time Liam finished, the man approached. "You have an incredible gift," he said, his voice warm yet direct. "I'm Marcus Reynolds. I work with the producers for America's Star Voice. Ever thought about auditioning?" Liam blinked. That's a TV show. I'm just a street kid." "They'd never." "They will," Marcus interrupted. "I'll make sure of it." A week later, Liam found himself backstage at the show's auditions. His hands shook as he clutched the same battered guitar, now restrung by a kind stagehand who'd overheard his story. Bright lights beamed down on him, and the judges sat in a neat row, faces he'd only seen on TV. "What's your name, young man?" one of them asked. "Liam, just Liam," he said softly. "And what will you sing for us today?" He took a deep breath. "Perfect, it was my mom's favorite song." The first note was shaky, but as he sang, something happened. It was as though every memory, every cold night on the street, every whispered lullaby to Ellie came rushing out. His voice was pure and unfiltered, carrying both innocence and a depth far beyond his years. By the chorus, the judges had stopped taking notes. The audience leaned forward, some holding their breath, others wiping away tears. And then, in a moment that would later go viral, one judge, a usually tough critic, stood up mid-performance, her eyes glistening. By the final line, the entire panel and most of the audience were on their feet, applauding with an intensity that seemed to shake the stage. Liam's chest heaved, eyes wide. He had never been clapped for like this before. For a moment, he forgot the cold subway nights, the hunger, the fear. All he could see were smiling faces and hands reaching out to congratulate him. Backstage, Marcus appeared again, placing a firm hand on Liam's shoulder. "You didn't just sing, kid. You told the world your story." Within hours, the clip was everywhere, social media feeds, news outlets, even celebrity shares. Donations poured in, and messages flooded the show's inbox from people wanting to help him and Ellie. One woman offered them a place to stay. Another offered to pay for his education. Weeks later, Liam stood on that same stage again, this time in the finals. But win or lose, his life had already changed. He no longer sang to survive, he sang because his voice had given him a home, hope, and a future. On the night of the results, after the applause and the confetti, Liam walked off stage to find Ellie in the wings. She was holding a small bouquet of flowers, smiling so wide her cheeks hurt. "You did it," she whispered. "No," Liam said, pulling her into a hug. "We did." As they stepped outside into the cool night air, the city lights twinkled above them. Liam thought about his mom, about the song, about the strangers who had opened their hearts. And he realized something: sometimes, the smallest voice in the noisiest place can touch the biggest hearts. From that night on, Liam made a silent promise: he would use his music not just to lift himself, but to lift others who felt unheard. Because the world might be loud, but kindness always finds a way to be heard.